Hello, welcome back to another edition of Welcome to Sunland. I am one of your illustrious hosts, just one, Jamin Devon, and I'm with
Robin Cartwright.
And we're back in the saddle this week.
We are.
We're back. Last week, again, my fault, okay, but there's a bug going around. There's something going on.
Yeah.
There's pollen, there's a bug. A lot of people I know are actually kind of sick, so
yeah.
this is a thing. It's not me, but
yeah.
not just
and
me.
Not seriously sick. I've been on steroids. This is my second round, and it's day 142, I swear. It's not really, but that's what it feels like.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah,
I get
and
it.
it's hard to kick when you have it and you feel miserable and yeah, and I think you said there's a pollen count that people can keep a track of.
I'm going to put it in the description. There's a website that shows you the pollen hotspots for each county.
Yeah.
St. Lucie, Martin, Indian River County. It's pretty cool. It's pretty interesting. But it's the whole state at this point.
Yeah,
so
because we're in such a drought. I feel like everything is just covered in pollen.
Yeah, and then the other day I woke up and smelled burning. Did you smell that outside of your house?
Some days I just don't know if it's part of taking this medication or if it really is happening. And so I have to kind of take a step back and go back inside and just regroup because I don't want to think that I'm experiencing something that I'm not.
I mean, it was a controlled burn, I think, out west in St. Lucie County. But
you're not even supposed to have burns right now, are you?
They just lifted the burn ban.
Okay.
But you're right, though.
Right.
You're not off in that.
Yeah.
But I woke up and I was like, are we okay? Are we good? Are we
I feel like that often about so many things. Are we okay?
Yeah, exactly. Especially right now. Right now. It's getting intense.
Agreed.
But to jump this thing right off, last week, while we did miss an episode, we were out and about.
We were present and accounted for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You invited me out to a data center town hall rally, if you will, over in the village of Indiantown. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit more about that. You invited me out.
And I was invited out.
Okay, so break it down for us. What happened? I'll fill in, I'll color in
sure.
in between. Yeah.
So Talk About Martin did a great job organizing speakers for people to come and listen to what they could learn about, as much as they could learn about what's happening with these data centers. Mm-hmm. The speakers were one woman who lives in Arizona who lives near a data center, who is experiencing noise pollution and how that stresses and affects their bodies and their mental well-being. There was a PhD who spoke about the actual data centers and the effects that they have on a community, especially one like Indiantown. Mm-hmm. And then I had the opportunity to speak just about general things about data centers, facts and fun stuff that you may want to know.
Yeah.
And then Mayor Christopher Collins from the city of Stuart came to speak. And he spoke more about people getting involved from a civic standpoint, why you should be involved in the process, why you should run, et cetera. And then some great questions that were asked, but what a great opportunity for people to learn what's happening out there and across the state of Florida. We are not, the village of Indiantown is not the only one experiencing this problem.
No. And I just got to give a big congrats to you for speaking at the event.
Thank you.
You brought up some data you mentioned at the event. I have it in front of me. You talked about Meta's Kansas City data center. It uses 9.5 million gallons per day of water. The entire Martin County uses just right under that at 9 million gallons per day.
Yeah.
So to think that it's a county's worth of water being used is quite interesting, to say the least.
And speaking of the water, what I found most interesting was the one thing that these data centers are touting is that they are repurposing the water that they have so that they can keep their systems cool, because what ends up happening is these data centers generate so much heat, and it's like 4 degrees Fahrenheit on average per neighborhood that these data centers affect, which is insane considering how hot it gets here in Florida.
Yeah, already.
Yeah, but they talk about how they repurpose this water, and so what was most interesting to me that they leave out of that conversation when they're saying, oh, it's fine, is that one, that water has to come from somewhere, someplace first, right? That 9 million gallons has to come from somewhere, but also the evaporation rate that they experience. And I've read different statistics. I think the average that I found most common was 40%.
Okay.
But that they evaporate water at such a rate, and then they have to replenish that water.
Yeah.
And so it was just really interesting to hear a full set of facts versus what is basically PR from a developer to say, hey, isn't this great? We're repurposing our water. Yeah, you are, and that is great.
Yeah.
But the flip side is, where is it coming from originally, and how do you replenish it?
And I just got to say, I mean, first of all, thank you for inviting me out. I'm not joking when I say this. It was probably one of the most formidable experiences I've ever had, especially as doing Sunland. Just because, I don't know, I'm always just drawn to talking to people that the headlines affect, you know?
Yeah.
And it's one thing to sit at the coffee shop, write an article. It's an entirely different thing to just sit across people, from people who are one, concerned, but like confused. They have
Right,
no
yeah.
idea what's happening. Like no
Yeah.
idea. And like just even watching some of the interviews that we caught after, I
Mm-hmm.
was like I was kind of dumbfounded by it all. Just kind of like how this is being rolled out, you know, sort of like the lack of
Yeah.
information that like the people that are living in the town are getting and not getting.
I'd say more not getting.
Yeah, more not
Yeah.
getting. And, you know, and just so many questions that are around this. One question that I still kind of sits with me is about, you know, so much of the land out there has been passed down, you know, through generations
Yeah,
of
yeah.
families. And will that still be the case? I mean, yes, we can pass down the land, but will it be as valuable as it is now today?
Who would want to live there?
Exactly.
If they're experiencing noise up to 2.5 miles away, that reverberation or that humming or however it's described.
Yeah.
Do you want to live within 2.5 miles of that
Yeah.
and feel that every day? And the most interesting question for me was the woman who asked, what about our veterans
Yeah.
and first responders who've experienced PTSD?
Yeah.
Do these sounds
great
affect
question.
them? And
That
I
was a
thought
great
that was an
question.
amazing question. And
That was a
I've
good
been
question.
looking for an answer, and I hope we can find one because they certainly deserve to know that.
Yeah. And I think I caught that. So if I did, I'll add that in.
Yeah.
And also, I know for one, I definitely caught this, and I'll make sure to put it on the screen in between
Mm-hmm.
this. But a lady there was telling me that her son is building a house there, and that he can't even get connected to water right now,
Right.
because there's a shortage. They're not taking on any more customers.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, they're not taking on any more customers, but
Right.
we're about to use 9 million gallons a day.
Well, yeah.
What is going on? Like,
Crazy.
you know, so those are the moments where I'm sitting there and I'm literally like, I can't do anything but listen and like think to myself, like, I don't even have the answers to any of this,
But-
because none of it's
yeah.
adding up. None of it's lining up.
But this is what we've talked about before on and off camera.
Yeah.
About how developments get approved, and you see all of these simultaneous applications come in.
Yeah.
Because you can't penalize a developer for something that isn't completed with a certificate of occupancy.
Yeah.
Interestingly, Terra-Lago, which is the really big development that's happening right now in Indiantown, and I don't know if this man lives in this section or if he's somewhere else, but they've been approved to build all of these houses, but they cannot finish building because there's not enough water.
There's not enough water.
Right? And
So what is going on?
Right. And so, but they can continue to take applications for things because, again, that's not finished, so you can't penalize somebody else. And so
Yeah.
I think we'll continue to see these applications, not just for data centers, but for developments in general.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, developers have rights,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But on the
Yeah.
flip side of that, if there's not water, that's the infrastructure issue that we always talk about. The water that's available, the stormwater management, the schools that are available, the roads that need to be built. Like all of that is part and parcel of what commissions approve and
Yeah.
councils approve.
Yeah.
And again, you can't turn somebody down because there's nothing to say that you have traffic from this because this doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy how we do things.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mess, and I definitely feel for the people, not only in the village of Indiantown, but just all the surrounding areas. I mean,
All of Florida.
Yeah,
Like
we're-
that Bugs Bunny, cutting off the state of Florida that you always see and it
Yeah.
floats out. Like,
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like that's where we're at right now.
And I mean, again, I'm just confused by the lack of information that we get around these things. And
It's
after
intentional.
going, there was a lot of questions that are still unanswered. So
Yeah.
hopefully through what we're doing and, you know, some other efforts from folks, we'll get some more answers to this. But moving on, we've been out and about this week. So last week we were out in the village of Indiantown.
Yep.
And just this week, by the time you're seeing this interview is out. We stopped by the St. Lucie County School office,
Yep.
school board, to talk to Dr. John Prince.
That was an amazing interview. I
was pretty
loved
good.
everything about it.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
I definitely I really like doing interviews.
Yeah.
I really do. I get in my element with the interviews. What's some takeaways that you got from that? And, you know, we can kind of just...
I love how he shared how well and how much they work with what's happening in the city of Fort Pierce and the county of St. Lucie, what's happening out in Tradition. Like, it really feels like they're connected to what's happening, both from a population standpoint, how that affects their schools. Because I know one of the reasons that you wanted to do the interview initially was about the school enrollment decline.
Yeah.
But the things that he addressed very candidly, I thought, about not just the school population, but how they project for things, how they plan for things, how they work with their business partners. I thought it was a very thoughtful conversation from you and from him, truthfully.
Yeah, and I think something that will definitely show itself in the interview is, man, so much of the future is like so undetermined.
Yeah.
Just from the pressure like at the state level, how funds are, being distributed now among schools. It's just really tough because, there were some valid questions when the clip that got posted that went absolutely insane about him saying that, hey, we've seen a drop in enrollment.
Right.
He still has to build schools. He still has to go out and spend $100 million over in tradition to build a school because there's 40,000 homes that are getting ready to come there. There's
crazy.
a development that is being worked on right now. It's not across the finish line yet, but in North St. Lucie County near like the Bucky sort of area, Indrio Road, there's another 3,000 homes getting ready to go there. And I'm sure he will have to service those students out there, potentially look at maybe, do we put, a school here? But he has to sort of manage that, and not just himself, but his entire staff, the entire St. Lucie County School Board. They have to manage that along with are we going to continue to sort of take funding out of our public schools? It's difficult.
But I really appreciate how he addressed how they're handling the funding issues that they're having.
Yeah.
And I was not aware how many other communities in the state of Florida are experiencing almost like an inverse growing pains, right? Because they're losing student populations. And so for the comparisons that he gave, so that there's some perspective, not only for the size of St. Lucie County and the number of students compared to, I think he said Brevard County, and what was the other one? Broward County, maybe? I can't remember. But
I believe it was Broward.
Yeah, but I just really thought that's really interesting that other communities are experiencing the same thing. And so obviously there's something that needs to be addressed from a state level.
Yeah.
If we're seeing a lot of kids take those voucher opportunities to go elsewhere, but then what responsibility does the public school system still have to those kids? Because they're still a student.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And this is such a nuanced conversation that I definitely want
for sure.
spend more time getting into. But I mean, St. Lucie County is in a very, weird spot with this because we're growing like crazy. While at the same time, there's some students kind of leaking out the bucket. I'm wondering what happens when that growth maybe slows down a little bit. It's going to be a while. It's going to be a little bit. But I'm interested to see, with all the infrastructure being built now, where does that leave St. Lucie County?
Yeah, and I go back to when Bernard Taylor was here and he was talking about how many young people are moving out of the state of Florida.
Yeah.
And you presume that those young people would be part of that group that would have kids in the school district, either now or at some point. And so I'm curious also how that plays into the Senate Bill 203 or House Bill 203 for the property tax reform, should that come to fruition for the voters to vote on. Like there's a lot of things that are all affecting other things because that House bill dramatically impacts what the schools receive.
It's such a big topic. I didn't even broach it in the interview.
Oh no, for sure.
Because I'm like, first of all, it's still it's not entirely speculation, but it's like we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then like that's an hour unto itself. So I'm sure we'll be back if something was to occur.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, a great interview. Please check it out. We'll make sure to leave it down in the description. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. We're back to give you our two good things this week. One of my favorite segments, by the way. I mean, we talk about a lot of deep stuff at the front, and then we come back in with some positive. Yeah. Hopefully it balances out. My one good thing this week is that March is Colon Cancer Awareness Month. And in honor of not only that, but my late great-uncle, Darren Slater, his daughters, Slate Angels, they put together a 5K every year. And that's this coming weekend. So I'm just super excited about this. It's always it's just a fun time putting it together. Yeah. We pull he was a DJ. So we pull mixes in and we make a running playlist for all the runners from his old mixes. Yeah. It's just fun. It's just nice. I love honoring him. One of my regrets in life is just I didn't start Sunland sooner so he could see it.
Oh.
But I know he's looking.
Cry. That's so nice.
Yeah, I know he's looking down. So I just shout out to Iman, Tori, Reagan, Riley, his daughters, and I'm excited for this weekend. So
Oh, now you're gonna make my one good thing sound terrible.
No.
Okay, that was so nice and personal and heartfelt. Yeah. Well, here's mine.
Yeah, okay.
Let's go. My one good thing is I am very grateful for Waze and Google Maps.
Yeah.
Now here's the flip side of that. Why I need to be grateful for it. Some of these people are out here driving like we're in Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, yeah.
Or when did it become acceptable to turn left from a right turn lane or to turn right from a left turn lane?
This morning.
Or to pull over into a turn lane and put on your hazards and look something up. I am experiencing some issues with all of this, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to practice gratitude. And so my one good thing is I
Yeah.
am grateful for navigation systems that people should use. Please use your navigation systems.
Please.
So that you are not creating a traffic hazard. So that is my one good thing this week.
And just to add on to what it is you're saying, we might need to have one of these once a month, a traffic complaint segment. Hear me and hear me good, okay? For all my Florida drivers out there is no stop sign in a roundabout, not a one.
No.
I mean, I've driven about...
Yielding is yielding.
Yielding is
It's
yielding.
a zipper.
I have lived next to a roundabout.
Look, they're probably going to an accident.
Probably
Yeah.
literally right now. I have lived near a roundabout for my entire existence. So when I started to learn how to drive,
Right.
the roundabout might be one of the first things I messed up on. Might have clipped the wheel on it, thing. There's not a stop sign, and I just want to put that out there for everybody. You don't stop in the middle. Keep driving. Nobody's going to hit you, hopefully. Okay? Just keep driving. There's not a stop sign.
I also want people to be okay with making a U-turn later down the road. If you miss your turn, it's not a big deal. You can go farther. There's always an opportunity, maybe a light with a turn arrow where you're allowed to do that. But you have my permission to go to the next light, make a U-turn, come back. Because I just feel like there's a lot of unnecessary accidents and a lot of unnecessary road rage. Like, let's not make it any harder than it needs to be for anyone else.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I'll end it with this. Doing the Florida Feud thing, I cannot tell you how, traffic is always at the top of the list.
Of course,
If you want to win Florida Feud,
just say traffic.
Just get some traffic thing. I swear.
One of the three answers will inevitably be traffic.
Yeah, for sure. That is hilarious. That was great. We'll be right back.
We are back. So just real quick for everybody, I just want to let everybody know that the City of Stuart new city manager, his contract was approved at Monday's meeting.
Oh,
very exciting.
nice.
Mr. Giordino.
I reported on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he comes to us from the way of LaGuardia Airport.
Saw that. Big
Yeah.
landing spot for me when I go visit my sister Didi. I'm always there. So yeah, I probably ran into him a couple
You
times.
might have, well, maybe not to him specifically because
Yeah,
he's
he's pretty
overseeing the whole
high up.
thing.
Yeah.
But I am excited that he's starting, and I've heard great things about him. Everybody's very excited about it. And I just think it's a really, really good turning point for the city and a good fresh start. Very excited.
Yeah, we love fresh starts.
Yeah,
we
for
love
sure.
fresh starts. That's amazing. Speaking of, well, I don't know if this is necessarily a fresh start.
It's a start.
It's a start. City of Fort Pierce, which I'm not going to go crazy on the record with this. I think this was one of their first special meetings in years, literally in over a decade or something.
Yeah.
Outside of some other happenings, but they've never done a contract negotiation like this with the union in public, not that I remember. But they settled on a raise with for public works workers in the city. The Public Works Union did not get what they wanted. I'm not necessarily sure if the city got what they wanted. I think there was...
It was interesting. That meeting was interesting.
Yeah,
and
nobody walked away happy.
No, well, I feel like that's when everybody wins, right?
Yeah,
Nobody's
kinda,
happy, right?
yeah.
It's a
For
win
sure.
for everybody
For
then.
sure.
But I just thought it was interesting because the non-union employees got 5% with no minimum guaranteed raise.
Yeah.
And then the union employees were basically fighting for 5% with a minimum. So
Yeah,
they
with a
could bring
minimum.
everybody up to be at a better quality of life living level.
Yeah.
And so I just thought it was really interesting, the discussion, because what came out in those meetings, the big takeaway for me was the commission was very concerned about the budget.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Why are you not planning for this when you're budgeting if you know that you still have pending negotiations?
Yeah. That was confusing to me.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily see entirely where they're coming from because I'm obviously not in their shoes.
Right.
But it's odd to me that it's difficult, especially at a state level where, for instance, the police union has certain provisions and protections because you can't reduce a certain amount of their budget, where that does not exist for other city employees.
Yeah.
But this union represents people who work in the police department as well. It's just also very interesting. They kept, again, back to the property taxes, that was sort of looming over the meeting.
Yeah, that was one of their big things. What if? Well, what if it does happen?
Yeah, and I'm interested to see this because this has been delayed, as you beautifully wrote, by the way. We're going to link to that down below. That this has been delayed basically since October, and the negotiations are about to start back up again pretty soon.
Right.
So I'm interested to see what happens this year, especially with the property tax thing sort of coming to a head. Yeah, I'm glad that bare minimum there was a raise in store. They get sort of the back pay, from October, so that's great. That's amazing.
Yeah, no, and they deserve it. I mean, but it's unfortunate that they have to provide back pay because they didn't budget properly to do it when it happened.
Yeah, when it first
like when the
occurred.
other negotiations happened, I'm not 100% sure why the union's concerns weren't addressed at that point and why it ended up at an impasse.
Yeah.
To be delayed for as long as it was. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad it was resolved. It needed to be resolved.
Absolutely.
But it was just interesting watching it happen because also they don't the union represents more than just public works.
Yeah.
Like there's people from the crime scene units
mm-hmm.
that are in there. Like there's people from sanitation. And so it's a weird conundrum.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure what other word to use. Quagmire, conundrum, I don't even know. Like the city would put itself in that position to address that now, knowing they're going to be in negotiations in a couple more months to do this all over again.
Yeah. For all my Publix people out there, you that work for the city, I see you in Publix. You're welcome to come on this platform, okay, and talk about this.
Or send us secret emails.
Yeah. Well, I just seen a couple people this week, right? And I didn't ask you about anything because you're shopping, okay?
Right. Yeah. Respect their privacy.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Exactly. You're on the chip aisle. I get it. But you're more than welcome to come on the pod. I would definitely love some more clarity. Just not even just with this situation, but as things continue and evolve, you're more than welcome to come.
Yeah, and I think it's also interesting because one of the other things that I started hearing online, and I don't know if you heard this, was we're hearing in Martin County about consolidations of certain departments between, for example, Martin County Fire Rescue and the City of Stuart Fire Rescue, and how that would be a cost savings.
Yeah.
P.S. It would not be. I wrote about it. You can look it up.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like some of that conversation is happening across the state, where the whole purpose is, would it be more cost effective for people to consolidate government municipalities to be managed by one versus having these independent taxing districts, whether it's the City of Fort Pierce, versus St. Lucie County, Martin County versus the City of Stuart.
What if we're just all under one?
Well, like all of St. Lucie is under one. All of Martin County is under one.
Yeah, instead of having the City of Fort Pierce Police and the City of PSL, we just have the sheriff.
Yeah, and there's definitely some conversations to be had about it. Again, kind of like where we started with the data center, depending on who's giving you the information, depends on how wonderful it is that this happens or how terrible it is that this happens. And so when I wrote about what was happening in the city and in the county for fire rescue specifically, it was strictly mathematical.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like these are the taxes that you pay. This is what they use. This is how they come up with that number.
Yeah.
And I've not seen a lot of that conversation in St. Lucie about
Not yet.
municipalities.
Yeah.
But have you heard anything with regards to any kind of conversations about that?
I hear things in the rumor mill about, consolidation. I think for a brief moment in time there, there was some conversation around, this might be when like Sunland first started, about the City of Fort Pierce Police not even existing anymore because they couldn't come to an agreement with the union.
Right.
There wasn't enough monies to sort of, make up for what it is they were asking for. So there was talk about maybe, folding it into St. Lucie County Sheriff, which that ultimately did not happen. But I could definitely see that being the path. I mean, there's no doubt about it, there's crackdown on local government spending. No matter what side you're on, that is a thing that's happening. Like
right.
That is, coming from the state. I'll cut this out. That is definitely coming from the state. So you have to wonder, well, what does that look like past, okay, we're pulling back on property taxes. If that's not enough, where is the next thing that we begin to look at to say like, okay, where can we cost cut? What can we pull together? And what does that look like for us? Ultimately, it's definitely something that I've heard come up, but nothing official. But I'm sure it's part of the conversation.
Yeah, we'll just definitely have to keep our ear to the ground and see what's happening.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Before we get out of here, I wanted to make sure I mention a couple of events. There's actually quite a bit of stuff going on this week, but I want to make sure next Wednesday, which I believe is April 1st, they're having another Lincoln Park workshop that people should make their way out to. I went to the last one that they had, and basically, long story less long, this is a CRA, more or less, for the Lincoln Park District. It's FPRA is how they're referring to it,
right.
But I think the goal is to have some conversations with the community about what the community actually wants in terms of...
So your street's very busy today.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Okay, we're good. I'll jump back in. They're referring to RCRA as the FPRA, Fort Pierce Redevelopment Agency. And I think the goal is to have conversations with the community about what it is they want, from amphitheaters to more streetlights to more sidewalks. They've also got a teen council that they consult with as well, which is pretty cool.
That's amazing.
So far, I'm a little bit skeptical with things like this, but so far it seems great.
Listen, community involvement is vital to any sustainable community.
Absolutely.
And so anybody who can attend, I encourage them. That is your investment in your future, in your kids' future, what you want your community to look like. I applaud them for holding these.
Yeah,
truthfully.
They're great.
Yeah.
And I think this is like 2 of like another. They're going to do another 3 of these after.
Yeah.
So just be on the lookout. April 1st. I'll put it in the description below. Did you have any events coming up? Anything?
No, I'm boring.
Okay. Well, that's fair. No. You can catch Robin this weekend right at...
Yeah, right.
You might be going around and doing like civic, like conferences or something.
I mean, I'm a lot of places, but unfortunately no upcoming events to share with anybody.
Yeah. No, that's fine. But I'm sure by the time... I'm thinking about leaving all of this in.
You should leave all of it in.
I'm thinking about leaving it all in.
Fort Pierce is busy today.
Yeah, it's pretty busy.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, though, I definitely just appreciate everybody who I see out at events. I've been trying to make my way out more, especially on the weekends when I have the time to do so. And I've been running into so many people lately. So just thank you. If I run into you, I appreciate you. And thank you for supporting Sunland. So that's all I got.
Absolutely.
This has been amazing. I can't wait to do this again. I feel like we really float this one. I feel like we're like Wade and LeBron or something like that.
Yeah.
Do you get that reference, Wade and LeBron?
No.
Not really?
No.
Miami Heat 2011? Not really?
I mean, I know who LeBron is.
Okay.
And I know who the Miami Heat are.
He played for the Heat once. You know who Dwayne Wade is.
I know. Yes, I know who Dwayne Wade is.
Okay. You're like, I'm not that out of the loop. Okay,
yeah, I mean, like, I get stuff.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, this was a great episode, and it was amazing. We'll see you next week.
Yes.
Bye.